Just about 15 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock, welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Now it's Thursday and it's Tobago Thursday, which means we are continuing the conversation with our folks in Tobago. And so it is no doubt that more seafood, particularly fish, is consumed during the Lenten season as many choose to fast and refrain from meat. Now this demand in fish often translates to an increase in prices that consumers now have to pay. And so this morning we're going to be talking to the president of the All Tobago Fisherfolk Association, Mr. Curtis Douglas, to decide if this trend will continue this season. Curtis, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Now.
Good morning, Kimberly. Good morning to you all and the wider public, and good morning to Trinidad and Tobago and the whole. It's a pleasure to be here this morning with you.
Yeah. Curtis, right off the bat, I'm going to ask, can people in Tobago look out for an increase in fish prices as we are now in the Lenten season?
There will be some form of rise, but we're hoping by next week we'll be able to tell whether it's gonna raise to a more exorbitant price or not. You know, fish price. I know a lot of people, especially for my sister Isle, Trinidad, comes over and buy fish mostly so in the Lenten season. And yeah, there may be a high possibility it will have a hike in the fish price. You know, that is because of no fault of ours, right?
Now, Curtis,
Kimberly?
before we get into some of these symptoms, what are the current costs of fish now? So, for example, if you can give me an example, is it that it's salmon, it's croaker? I mean, what are some of the prices you can give me?
Kimberly, have to smile because you know we don't catch croaker in Tobago, right?
So give me some of the prices that the fishermen have and the cost of fish right now.
So you will have the fishes that you will be getting now. You will get tuna,
right?
Kingfish, tuna, kingfish, preferable wahoo and black-eye kingfish, dolphin, barracuda, grouper, and 1 and 2 snapper and cavalli. Those are some of the main fish you will get right now. And the prices for example, like grouper and kingfish, you may see you're paying something like about $35 to $40 a pound right now for the kingfish and the grouper, right? The dolphin, which still trying to maintain it to $35 and $30 within there about for that price of dolphin, because that is a quick seller. Dolphin, barracuda, and snappers, better known as redfish, you will get that for that price right now. You will be getting at in Tobago, you know, and it might have one and two vendors. You might lucky to get it for probably 30 to 25, which is rare.
Right. Well, okay, so now that we have the current prices, let's get into some of the reasons why people may expect to see an increase, as you mentioned, maybe next week. I know that one of the issues that you have raised before, Curtis, is the fact that the fuel prices have increased across the board, and so maybe the consumer may have to weigh some of that, that cost that the fisher folk now have to pay for fuel. Is that still an issue, and are there other challenges that can promote this increase in the prices?
Kimberly, I'm sorry to say, but that is that plays a major role in the prices of fish going up in Tobago, right? Because the high price in fuel give us no choice. Now, the listening public to understand. Now, when you talk about the diaspora of Tobago and the fishermen of Tobago, we fish different from our colleagues in Trinidad. One, most of our fishing, we troll. We slow troll. We always on the move. So that means it's constant use of gas. Right? And over the last, let's say, 10 years or so, right? 10 years, and more. We used to go like 5 miles. That's 5 miles and catch a good yield. Now, Kimberly, we're talking about 35 and 40 miles now we have to go. So when you do the math, when you have to travel 5 miles, you use a jug of gas. Now you have to go 40, 35 and 40 miles, sometimes 42, 43 miles and more, right? So that means
Curtis, people may argue that the fisherfolk were given subsidies. And so does this subsidy offset the cost at all? I mean, does it assist in any way at all?
no disrespect to the government and the subsidies that they would have tried. The subsidies hasn't been adjusted for over 15 years, to be plain and simple. And the subsidies that they would have there is of no 20 cents on a liter. 20 cents. A primary school child could do the math. So you see, it's next to nothing sometimes. And not only that, when they do pay subsidy, which is what we call the gas rebate, right?
Right.
They only pay gas rebate every 3 months. Come on. Is that every 3 months we go to see? We go to see every day. At least you should have had a conversation and think it through and see how it would have been affecting one of the people the groups that contribute to the food security in our country, right? And that is a real burden that the fisherfolk is facing, especially in Tobago, and the distance we have to go to ensure to create or to put that key staple on our plates to maintain our health in this island and in this country of Tobago and Trinidad.
Now,
So
Curtis, quickly, I know that you mentioned that the fuel is one of the main reasons, but I also read something you mentioned about the rigs in Tobago. Is it that the rigs are somehow affecting the fishermen from going out and catching fish?
Yeah, Kimberly, I know a lot of media houses doesn't want to talk about it. When we speak about it, they doesn't want to hear about it. But the energy sector, which is these oil companies, are creating a real devastating and hard time for the fisher folks in Tobago. Let me explain. Now, Tobagonians, as how we fish, Trinidad, mostly some of them use nets. We do, but not much. We have what we call fishing attracting devices. It's called a FAD, acronym FAD, right?
Right.
So when we spend $7,000 to $9,000 to build one of these FADs, and sometimes we try to drop something like about 20, 25, 30, one man will try to drop about 10, right? Depending on how his pocket. So when we drop these fishing attracting device, right? What this fishing attracting device does, now we depend on what they call the plankton. The plankton come down from the Orinoco River and come down. And after the plankton, we have what we call the flying fish. You don't get flying fish in Trinidad because of the pollution of water. Right. So when that happens now, it rings the attracting device. So the flying fish lays the eggs, rings the water, and then here comes the migratory fish, which is the dolphin and the kingfish and the tuna, and they come and they hover around it. So when you leave home now, you could go right there and say, okay, I'm going to make a good yield. So you could catch, because we now pool the fish, give them a nice little environment that we could just go and harvest them. Now, what happens after that is that recently what we have observed is that it have oil rigs, right? Rigs coming from Trinidad or wherever about, right? And when they pass, they're not informing us or working with us to let access, where is our fish attracting devices. So we could say, well, listen, instead of going 25 east north, you pass around or you're coming shore so that you wouldn't damage our devices. But what they do, they don't inform us and they rig pass and cut away our devices, hence making it harder now for us to even make a living. So that is one of the main problems that we are having pertaining to the fact that when we put our attracting device, it's being cut away by these oil companies. And more so, Kimberly, what we have encountered is that no one owns the rigs, no oil companies is responsible, but our fish attracting devices and our palangas are cut away. and
Right.
no
Now,
one is
Curtis,
being responsible.
I'm gonna have to cut you only because we're out of time, but I do want to delve deeper into that conversation. I know that we're gonna have you maybe after the Lenten season or sometime again throughout the year. And so we're gonna talk about how the rigs are affecting the devices that you mentioned. But unfortunately, like I mentioned, we are out of time. Let me thank you still for joining us on the Now Morning Show. I know that our listeners will be looking out for any announcement that comes from the ATFA in terms of the increase of the fish prices that is supposed to be announced next week. So thank you again for joining us on the Now Show.
Thank you,
Have a good one, Curtis. Take care. And that was president of the All Tobago Fisherfolk Association, Mr. Curtis Douglas, sharing, if it is the fish prices are going to increase. He also mentioned some of the issues and challenges that the fisherfolk in Tobago are experiencing. On the Now Morning Show, we're going to take a break and be right back. Stay with us.